Namaste. Jai Shiva. We'll talk about Savikalpa Samadhi today. And how many stages are there in Savikalpa Samadhi, and in how many stages it actually evolves and how you evolve with it. Okay? So, you reach Savikalpa Samadhi state when upper vairagya has happened to you. You have no interest in the inner world at all. Okay? But still, Savikalpa Samadhi is a state where one thing is alive at a time. So there are 4 stages of Savikalpa Samadhi. 4 different things are alive. Or in other words, you can say 4 different things are being looked at, microscopic or whatever you can call. Very, 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 very elementary level. 4 things are being looked at. Savikalpa Samadhi is actually a Samadhi where you reach when you have, done with your dhyana, upper vairagya. Vairagya has happened from anything that is external. Inner vairagya has happened from anything that is internal, and upper vairagya state. So you see, there are 4 different things in Savikalpa Samadhi. First one is Vikalpa. What is Vikalpa? When I explained vrittis, chit vrittis, in the initial videos of Yoga Darshan that you can watch, you will understand what is a Vikalpa vritti. In short, you can say that the vritti that gives us knowledge, and knowledge could be good, right or wrong, true or false, but the vritti that gives you knowledge, gyan, from the Shabda. Not the word. Shabda here does not mean word. Instead, like for example, I can say God. Or for example, I can say Paramatma. But the real meaning of it requires lot of thought, requires a direct experience, requires some more research. Until without that, you're not going to grasp the meaning of that Shabda. So that vritti which allows you to have jnana from the Shabda is called as Vikalpa. So the first stage of Savikalpa Samadhi is when there is just Vikalpa in that Samadhi, nothing else. Vikalpa is being looked at. Vikalpa is being the Samadhi. You are holding yourself on that Vikalpa. What is holding yourself means? Savikalpa Samadhi state is a state. Savikalpa Samadhi helps you be the Atma. So you are looking at yourself first time. But still, there are these 4 stages means there are some things that needs to be cleared up. So you have cleaned the chitta. Savikalpa Samadhi means you have cleaned the chitta. Chitta vrittis are not rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, and all these things are not bothering you anymore. Okay? So that is the reason you went into dhyana, and that's the reason now you are in Samadhi. So in Samadhi, chitta is completely, chitta vrittis have stopped, but chitta still has the seeds. Chitta still has sanskaras. So in Savikalpa Samadhi, you are holding yourself on the Vikalpa vritti, using the Vikalpa. What that Vikalpa could be? Going behind everything that is there. Shabda Gyan means going at the microscopic or elemental or primordial level of this creation. That is what is happening to you in the first stage of Savikalpa Samadhi. You, from the subjects or the Panchbhutas, you are moving towards Panch Mahabhutas. How? What do we mean by that? Say for example, there is a bread. Okay? What is bread made up of? Dough. What is dough made up of? Suppose it's a wheat bread. Then dough is made up of wheat. Okay? And wheat is made up of what? Earth, air, water, fire in the form of sunlight, right? And ether. So every element, anything that you look at, either it's outside or it's inside, doesn't matter. Whether you look at outer world, the samsara, the creation that you see outside, or you look at the creation inside, within you. All this creation is made up of Panchbhutas, 5 elements. Air, water, fire, earth and space. Or Akasha. 5 elements. Now, these 5 elements are made up of what? Panch Mahabhutas. They are made up of what? So finally, when this samadhi, this Savikalpa Samadhi is happening to you, and you are peeling everything layer by layer, through your Vikalpa. So first level of Savikalpa Samadhi is when you are holding yourself on Vikalpa. When you are being held at Vikalpa. That behind everything, there is just that very same Prakriti. Prakriti is a very primordial and pure and equilibrium of Sattva Guna, Rajas Guna and Tamas Guna. Okay? So Sattva, Rajas and Tam, a perfect equilibrium of that is called as Prakriti. When you disturb the equilibrium, when you increase the Tamas a lot, take out the Rajas from it, then you can say it's a mountain or a rock. So if you mix these 3 gunas in different proportions, then you get different kind of things, different elements in this creation. So these Panchbhutas or Panch Mahabhutas, 5 elements or 5 spirit or elementals of the element are actually being born from Prakriti, born from Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So when in Savikalpa Samadhi, you are holding yourself on the Vikalpa, you are standing yourself, or you can say you are holding the Vikalpa. Vikalpa of what? Vikalpa of Prakriti. Vikalpa of Sattva, Rajas, Tam. Layer by layer you are seeing that actually there is nothing. So you are moving towards the very initial stage of creation. You are decoding the creation in other way. This is first stage of Savikalpa Samadhi. Second stage of Savikalpa Samadhi is actually Vijara. So Savikalpa Samadhi means being face to face first time. An Atma is having Atma is looking at itself. It's trying to look at itself. 100% looking at itself has not happened because of these 4 stages. Once these 4 stages are gone, that's the day then Atma will look at itself. And, this is all Sampragyat Samadhi is also the stage, or Savikalpa Samadhi is also the time when one starts feeling oneness with everything else. Why? How? If you look at the basic elements of the creation, you will realize what you are made up of is exactly same what trees are made up of, is exactly same what other people are made up of, is exactly same what rocks, mountains, clouds, or that which is perceivable or through your 5 senses or perceivable through internal senses. Everything is made up of same thing. So whole life you were perceiving differences between people, differences between different elements. Now suddenly in Samadhi you are realizing, gosh, nothing is different. Right? Nothing is different. There is no difference between me or somebody else. That's the feeling of oneness you get from the first stage of Samadhi, first stage of Savikalpa Samadhi. You start feeling oneness, and it's just so great to feel that way. Suddenly you do not have any idea of any differences at all. You are one with the entire existence. But this oneness is not going to stay, because Savikalpa Samadhi has to evolve, right? So this oneness, this feeling of oneness, this way of seeing the truth that yes, there is no difference, everything is made up of the same Prakriti, same combination, same gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, same gunas are, this entire thing is nothing but a play of same 3 gunas. And Prakriti is Nitya. Prakriti never gets these 3 gunas, or the Prakriti that you call, equilibrium of these 3 gunas. Prakriti is Nitya. It's never going to be not there. In one way or the other, this will exist. Even if the creation doesn't exist and it's a time of pralaya or a dissolution, then also Prakriti is existing in its perfect equilibrium. No manifestation is happening out of it. So creation may not exist, Prakriti will exist. That which creates the Prakriti, that creates the creation, will always exist. So when we say Sat Chit Ananda, Sat means there are 3 truths. 3 things that are true. In other words, 3 things that are eternal. Atma, Paramatma and Prakriti. 3 things are eternal. You never get lost. So you can never go more behind than that. So Savikalpa Samadhi, the first stage is to have a Vikalpa. You start seeing everything behind everything. Okay, what is there? So ultimately you start perceiving oneness. And it's not that, even though the feeling, the very, very nice feeling of oneness is gone, or it could be momentary that you had Savikalpa Samadhi just for a few moments, is still the understanding now that you have to apply it in your life. Whatever understanding, whatever jnana, whatever wisdom is happening to you through the Samadhi states, you have to apply it in your life. If you don't, then it's one-off event. It's of no use at all. If jnana has not transformed you, then what use it is? Okay? So this is the first stage. Second stage of Savikalpa Samadhi is holding yourself or being in Atma, being with yourself through Vijara. So this kind of Savikalpa Samadhi puts you into very, very serious internal Vichara that goes on. You must be continuously doing an analysis on the wisdom of life. Not just life from how to live in samsara and all that. Not inner life, not external life. Life from the primordial point of view. What is truth? Vichara on that. That is the second stage. Vichara means not just the thought, but the thinking as well. But actually, thinking and thought seems like mental activities. Vichara that happens, Atma Vichara that happens, is not a mental activity. It's a activity of buddhi, of intellect, of viveka. Not like how thoughts are coming and thoughts are coming. No, it doesn't work that way. The English language has no words for Atma Vichara. So Atma Vichara is happening to you in the second state. And Atma Vichara is just between buddhi and vivek. Buddhi and vivek. Buddhi and vivek. How? When you are considering truth, you have to very carefully using your vivek. So buddhi is saying that, okay, what I have received or what I have experienced or what is there, is that the ultimate truth? Then vivek becomes so damn razor sharp. Power of discernment. Power of discernment becomes so pure in you that it starts slicing off to show you what is jnana and what is not, what is ultimate truth, what is not. So buddhi starts doing analysis, buddhi starts getting ideas, buddhi is becoming pure because of Savikalpa Samadhi states, right? Buddhi has become very, very pure. The play of sattva guna is way much more in buddhi in Savikalpa Samadhi state. So vivek becomes very pure too. So now vivek and buddhi are doing vichara, that okay, this is not the ultimate truth yet. That is why we say, some people say, I was in samadhi, but no jnana happened, then you may not be in samadhi at all. So Vikalpa Samadhi states, after you have them, you very well know what has happened. There's full consciousness in them. These are the samadhi states, whether they are Savikalpa Samadhi state or Nirvikalpa Samadhi, is the heightened state of pure consciousness. How can pure consciousness be unconscious or be unaware about what has happened? So, this is the second state where vichara is going on. Now, these states can actually go on for few days or few months. It depends upon how intense they are. How much work you got done in those samadhi state. And you can mind it. You cannot think that, today let me sit with samadhi. Samadhi does not, you cannot go into, you can slip into samadhi. You can only do dharana. But even dhyana has to happen to you. It happens to you. And same thing is with the samadhi. You cannot just sit down and say, okay, I am having samadhi. I am going to go into my samadhi right now. No, it doesn't work that way. Samadhi will happen to you. They are involuntary, if you want to use that word. They are involuntary in nature. So this is the second Savikalpa Samadhi. Third Savikalpa Samadhi is very interesting. It's Ananda. In that Savikalpa Samadhi, all you are feeling is yourself. First time having such a human body, you are actually going into Anandamaya Kosha. And you are feeling Ananda. This is Anandamayi Savikalpa Samadhi. But again, this state doesn't stay much more. It'll be lost, it'll be gone. And do not be mistaken about this Ananda and this experience of Anandamaya Kosha with those other states of dhyana when ego was absent. So Ananda in his small forms, joy in his small quantities, even start happening to you when you actually become very ekagra. When somebody becomes fully concentrated. Suppose they are creating a painting or drawing or sketching or writing poetry or doing anything that requires a heightened state of concentration, focus of mind, focus of all your senses and energy into one direction. When you become one-pointed, there is Ananda in that as well. But you haven't reached the Anandamaya Kosha yet. When you start going into dhyana states, then suddenly dhyana is a thoughtless state, right? So if we shut down your mind for some time, your body is relaxed, then naturally joy will happen. So in dhyana states also joy starts happening. So joy starts happening even when you are playing in the sansara and you do an act of kindness, an act of compassion. You help somebody. Joy happens through that too. And some people just get addicted to that joy. That's the reason they cannot stop helping others. They cannot stop being that way. And I am not saying that those things are bad, that you should not help others or do these things. But overly active in doing anything outside yourself is not going to make you reach samadhi state. And you may be thinking that you are helping, you can better, it's good to help people right now in the way you are right now. No, you can help people better in raising their consciousness, and for that you need to become 100% conscious. Means from the samadhi state, when you have achieved samadhi, when you become jivan mukta, you will not have your tantrums in your head. Then you can take up others' tantrums. When you have no issues with yourself, within yourself, then definitely you can help others better, isn't it? So the thing is that joy starts happening to you even in the very beginning and initial states of your journey, spiritual journey. But the joy that happens from Savikalpa Samadhi state is ultimate in nature. It's very different in nature. That joy actually makes you speechless. For days you cannot speak. You start losing words actually. You start losing language. You're intoxicated. It feels as if you are intoxicated. Not just for moments, but for few hours, few days. Once Savikalpa Samadhi with Ananda happens to you. Now you see, these are progressive states. So first one was with Vikalpa, second was with Vichara. Only third is the stage when we move to the Ananda. It's not possible to have just Ananda Samadhi, just Anandamayi Savikalpa Samadhi without going through the stages of Vikalpa and Vichara. Why? Only when you remove and peel off all the layers of through Vikalpa and you are done with Vichara, you are seeing the truth clearly. You have cleaned yourself, your chitta, in such a way that there's no possibility of you not seeing yourself but seeing something else. So Atma Sakshatkar, being face to face with yourself, it's that state. It's the Ananda that's coming from that state. So don't confuse it with Ananda that comes from temporary absence of forcefully, if you are stopping your thoughts, or temporary absence of thoughts, or temporary making your mind one pointed, and suddenly you become thoughtless and some Ananda happens to you. No, this is not that kind of Ananda. This is a very different Ananda. This is actually a real you being you. It's the Ananda from that state. So this is the third thing. So this is the reason this is third stage of evolution, is because first two has to happen in order to reach this third stage. Okay. Fourth one, when you are Ananda, that's when you realize fourth is a very painful and very dangerous state. Dangerous and painful in the sense it's not an easy stage. Very, very difficult stage. Very difficult. It's the stage when Asmita has become pure. It's the stage when you are realized, I am the vritti, I am the vasana, and now it's time to surrender, die, whatever you want to call that. Die the spiritual death, you can consider it that way. So Asmita initially were spinning identities in you, right? All your life and all your lifetimes Asmita was just spinning identities, and then those identities were having a crown of ego on top of that, and the play was going on. So initially when you were removing chittavrittis, you were also removing identities. That you are a woman, you are a man, you're a mother, you're a father, and you are this and you are that. But you are you. Removing that vritti, removing that identity, removing the seed of identity. So removing Asmita. So after removing all identities, you have reached just I. You reach the state where you say, I am this, I am that. From the state like initially you were, I am this, I am that, I am this. Now you removed what you were. So then only I am was pending. I am was remaining. You removed in this samadhi, am is also removed. This is a progression towards just I. I exist, you can say. That's a vritti in itself. Very difficult, most difficult one. It feels like death. And this is the hardest jump anybody would ever take. I exist. And the moment you lose this vritti, you have the courage to say, okay, I'm ready to not exist. It's the final thing that's going away, the last seed of Asmita that is going away. The moment this jump happens, you jump into Vikalpa Samadhi. Vikalpa Samadhi is not going to happen until you give up this I, until you give up this I exist state, until you realize you do not need to exist, until you realize only the Paramatma exists, until you realize just the Atma exists, and Atma will be, Atma earlier were colored into the Klishta Chittavrittis, into the colors of Chitta. Atma was being colored with Prakriti, and once you give up all that, Atma will be colored, or Atma will live just in Paramatma. Earlier Atma was like Chitta and all the Chittavrittis. Now, because there is nothing in the Chitta, Atma will be like Paramatma. No individual separate existence anymore. Never after that. In fact, this seed of Asmita can make you take more and more and any more number of births going forward. Many people get stuck at this very last stage, where when I was actually in this state, I wrote an article that day when Asmita was dying, the sense of being alive, because I was losing it. When Asmita is finally going away, you are evolving from Asmita to, and you are jumping into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That's when I wrote, in how many ways we just want to feel alive. Whole pursuit of life was nothing just to feel alive. That's Asmita. Those were the last words from who I was in this life or any lifetime. From the separate existence that I was. That article is the last words that I spoke. After that, a couple of days later or so, Asmita was gone. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I landed into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And once you land into that, who is there to know now? But still, Asmita is not there to know. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Chitta has been clean now, right? Very clean. Now the sanskar, an experience of Nirvikalpa, is going to be shadowed on the Chitta. And from that onwards, going forward, you'll know that you had Samadhi. It's not that we only know ourselves as Asmita. So we think if there is no Asmita, then what is the other way to know something? Know any experience or bring back the experience. How do we know that? So Chitta has sanskaras, but they are not the sanskaras which will make you take another birth. Chitta is devoid of any sanskara or any chittavritti that can give you another birth. So that is why those who have achieved Nirvikalpa are called as Jivan Muktas. But that does not mean they do not have sanskaras or vyuthan chittavritti, the chittavritti which helps you live mundane life, daily life, and they are not going to make use of smriti. Suddenly they become forgetful person that, okay, they can steal and they won't go to jail. No, nothing like that happens, right? Because smriti chittavritti, whatever is required, whatever are the required chittavrittis which are needed for the function of the body, for the function of the awareness, whatever is needed is there. All that has not gone away. Required chittavrittis never go away, which are helpful for running your life. Suddenly Samadhi people do not forget that they were vegetarian or non-vegetarian. They don't forget that. They may not eat non-veg or may eat non-veg, doesn't matter for them now. But the thing is that Smriti Vritti has some useful information. So useful information is retained in Chitta. Exactly in the same way, the sanskar that are being created in the Niruddha state, the Niruddha state of Chitta, the sanskar that are being created through the Nirvikalpa Samadhi state of the Chitta, Samadhis, and till the time person reaches the Kaivalya state, that there is only one. There is only absolute. That's it. Then Nirvik Samadhi happens. So all these things are retained there. So Savikalpa Samadhi, giving up the Asmita I, is where a lot of people get stuck. Because it's a difficult state. Very difficult state. It requires a lot of courage actually. Lot of courage to die. Right? And this time you are not dying. You are actually becoming non-existent. In all the other lives when you were dying and you were leaving your body, you were dying but you were not becoming non-existent. This time you are truly becoming non-existent. And mind it, it's not just a all this Asmita thing and all these, when it is leaving and you are about to jump into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all this is a very much physical, tangible experience. Very physical experience. You actually feel like dying. But you have full knowledge. You are full of jnana at that time, that what is happening to you. You are actually becoming non-existent this time. Buddhi is functioning at its peak. Viveka has become, Viveka, power of discernment has become Viveka Chudamani. Crown jewel, crown of Viveka has happened to you. Pure consciousness has become completely pure in you. Prakriti is in its own equilibrium form. No more manifestation of vrittis or anything in the chitta. Okay? So you very well know that you are not dying. You are becoming non-existent. And that requires even more courage. Why will you die? Now, if we ask a question to somebody, for what will you die ever? What will make you become non-existent and jump that side? Jump from Savikalpa to Nirvikalpa permanently. Never come back. Never exist in any other form at all. What will make you do that? I'll tell you what made me do that. Bhakti, heightened state of love and devotion in you. Heightened state of love towards Paramatma. Devotion, ultimate devotion towards Paramatma. That no, I don't want to be separate. No, I don't want to live without you. No, I do not want to exist without you. No, I do not want to exist separate than you. The ultimate thing that made me die, made me jump, made me non-existent was heightened state of samarpan, surrender, because of very, very high, very, very crucial burning state of devotion. Devotion towards Paramatma. And as you are moving, evolving through Sampragyata Samadhi, through Savikalpa Samadhi, as you are evolving, this bhakti becomes even more. It burns you more and more and more and more. Ultimately, it takes you to the state where you say, okay, I am ready. I am ready. I don't want to exist other than. So this is how it is. So hope you understand the 4 different stages of Savikalpa Samadhi. And someday you find your courage. You find that bhakti within. You find that Ishwar within to be able to jump towards Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Namaste. Jai Shiva.